Are we live?
Yes.
Did you mean to speak or you just, you want to speak?
This Captain Accountability Board meeting now
Ooh, wee. Man,
open.
thank you. Documents here, I gotta read them.
This is request. This is
27.
27B for July. Roll call.
Carol McIntosh, Joseph King,
President.
Linda Booth,
Present.
Patrick Julian,
Present.
Michael Hutchison,
Present.
William Harris,
Present.
Paige Russo,
Present.
Rochelle Bowman.
She is on the way. She's running late. She got tied up in traffic coming out of her house.
I can believe it.
Oh, that traffic on 75 was terrible. I
It's-
just
it's-
got off of it.
23-2.
I mean, from Utica exit all the way down to almost past the Clarkston exit is real slow going north.
Well, some
Lot
like
of,
over-
and no construction.
Like
It was-
one lane.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
no construction though. Now going south is one lane, but coming home it wasn't one lane.
Really?
And it was just traffic,
Would someone like to start the meeting with prayer?
no construction.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the gathering of like-minded people together to do the business of this city. Now, Lord, we ask for your grace, we ask for your mercy, we ask for your wisdom, and we ask for your countenance as you lead us and guide us in this meeting. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Thank God. Amen.
Amen.
Public speaking.
Next thing on the agenda is public speaking. Is anyone from the public would like to speak? Is there anyone from the public would like to speak?
We have Dion Freeman that would like to speak.
Ms. Freeman?
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Last time I attended, I had shared with you guys that I was going to be putting in a complaint, and I did send in the email, but as we discovered today, we don't know where the email went to. So I'll resend it out this week, but I wanted to just read to you what was coming since I'm here. It says, July 24th, 2023, to the Ethics and Accountability Board regarding Eric Mays' violation of disorderly persons ordinance. My name is Dion Freeman. I'm a First Ward resident and I attend city council meetings regularly. During the meeting on June 5th, 2023, I was personally singled out at a council meeting by Mr. Mays. Someone yelled out to break the quorum. I commented out loud and stated if they break the quorum, they would all be wrong. I was not addressing him or singling out any specific council person. He looked at me and yelled my name, Dion, and proceeded to state that he has a right to call the audience to order. Also, while he was talking, while this was taking place, his attorneys and a community leader member, A.C. Dumas, sitting next to me also was yelling out things, and he did not ask him or them to refrain from making comments. He was then ordered by a council chairperson, Lewis, and instructed that he was out of order for arguing or addressing the residents. Dr. Lewis also asked that I will refrain from making any comments, which I complied with the instructions. Later, she also asked Mr. Dumas to refrain from making comments. I'm asking the Ethics and Accountability Board to do an investigation into his constant violation of council rules, the city charter, and violation of his probation for disorderly conduct. He was convicted April 25th of a misdemeanor for these types of actions. I also would like to ask the Ethics and Accountability Board to review how many times Mr. Mays breaks the rules, 26.4 of the council rules, and this is the rule that, which is the misuse of points of order to gain the floor. July 10, 2023, at the city council meeting, Mr. Mays went off the rails, caused several people in the audience, and I typed the word out, it's a-holes. And he called a member, Mr. Ed Taylor, Liddell Lewis, Quincy Murphy, all by name, and the rest of the council members, his colleagues, a-holes, out of their name. He continued to proceed to use profanity as he once again was being removed from the meeting. He stated every effing time, and I spelled the word out, every effing time you five, every effing time, every effing meeting. When he is requested to leave, he makes a scene and continues to disrupt the meetings. This behavior unchecked continues to impede the forward progress of any business being done. Every time he is removed, the first ward does not have representation. It is a dereliction of duty. I would like to know if there's a grievance procedure or any additional things for me to do to make my complaint formal, and thank you for your assistance. Deion Freeman, 1801 Woodland Drive, Flint, Michigan, 48504, phone number 810-691-2573. And I'll email it out again.
Okay.
Does anyone else from the public like to speak? Anyone else from the public? Anyone else from the public? Here none. Move to item 5, respond from the AB members. Does anyone have any respond to the speaker? If done, we will move to
Noted. I'll just say that your complaint's noted.
Okay.
It's noted.
Great. Thank you.
I do have a question.
Yes.
Anything with Eric Mays's conviction deal with public conduct at a meeting?
I don't know the details. It was just disorderly conduct. I don't know if it was because he had to be taken out of cuffs, or he refused to leave, or the specifics of his conviction. I just know in the past 3 months, if I have been to 6 or more meetings, of those meetings, let's say he got put out of 6 of 8 of the meetings for his conduct, or breaking the council rules, whatever you want to call it. So I don't know if disorderly conduct on their behalf is engaging with the audience, which he has done to me personally and others. I don't know how it all falls in. I guess that's where, I know, because when I came before, you all kind of don't investigate things that's already been like charges on, but his charges don't have to deal with his conduct towards me or representing me in my ward as a resident. My thing is more so having representation, having someone who can sit in that seat and function on a professional level and do the business of the city. So I don't know if those words or those reasons, what's going on now is related to the past, but not exactly directed towards the past. This is the recent past, the meetings I've been to in the past like 3 months. Yeah.
Anyone else have any?
Do you have any comments or anything?
No, yes, I see.
Oh,
She's not on the
you
agenda.
did state that he was removed from the meeting?
He was asked to leave,
And
so
who was
yeah,
he asked by?
by the chairperson. At
Okay,
that time, just, what's the day? Just 2 days ago, he was asked to leave from the meeting by the
Okay.
chairperson.
okay. Did he leave on his own or was he removed?
Well, they asked the police to escort him out, so
Okay.
I don't know if that one was an escort out
Mm-hmm.
or
Or if he left on his own?
if he left on his own. But the reason why he had to leave is because he was breaking the council rules. If he
Okay.
wasn't breaking the council rules, he would never been asked to leave.
I was like, so council did handle that, but
Yeah.
they didn't handle your complaint. You want
Was
us to try to
Mine,
handle.
I don't think that I could really ask the council to do anything.
Right.
At the moment, Dr. Lewis was the chairperson at this one.
Mhm.
She did redirect him and tell him he was out of order for addressing the crowd or the audience.
Okay.
And she did also address me and say, hey, no yelling out. And she did talk to Mr. Dumas and say, hey, no yelling out. Just like the last meeting. These meetings are really just starting to become so out of control that nothing can be focused on, nothing can be done in order, decent and in order, because there's so much distraction. There's 301 points of order. Then inside of the 301 points of order, there are appeals. And then inside of the appeals, everybody talks for 5 minutes, 2 times each, and all of this stuff on different things is just dragging out. So I was here because as a resident, I already put in a recall for him, that's one thing, but his conduct while he's still there, it's gone unchecked. Even with him, like, getting convicted of a crime because of his actions, that's still not stopping his conduct from continuing on.
Let me do this, because we are getting off the topic. If we want to come back and discuss that and get a discussion, we only had 2 minutes for the speaker, 1 minute for each one of us. So we don't want to get into that. So we can always get into a discussion if the board so decide. One thing I'm going to change here that's not on the agenda, and because Councilwoman Lewis decided to come and speak on a matter that we have already discussed, so she can give her response to it and move on. We can move on with the meeting. Now I'm going to open it up for her to give her a response, so we can let her do the day. Councilman Lewis, I guess he was here to respond to allocation to the council about budget, about the past. Board over to you now.
All right, thank you so much. And so I just want to start off by stating for the record that you all called a special, you called actors to come to a meeting when Councilman we were adjourned on vacation. And so you all were made aware of that because I heard it on Deion Freeman's, on her live, but she was recorded, she told you all that. And it was by special resolution that we took that time off. So people like me with families, we took the time off. And so that's why I didn't come to the meeting. It was no disrespect to you, it was, I'm off, I'm going to be off. And so now that's why I'm here. So thank you for the invitation, and I'm definitely here to tell you what happened on this day. So unfortunately, this day was filled with a lot of reckless points of information and points of order. And you can see that on this tape. It started at, I'll say, the 57-minute mark. It just began a barrage of points of order and points of information. And according to council rules, we cannot call frivolous points of information frivolous points of order. If you do, they're improper. Whenever you call a point of, I'll say it's called a request for information, excuse me, that's the new term. Request for information is for the individual that's trying to seek information from the speaker. It's not to make a point. It's not to make a statement. And according to our council rules, if you use those requests for information as such, it is deemed as improper and you're deemed out of order because you're using a privileged motion to take the floor. So throughout that entire meeting, that's what Councilmember Mays did. And unfortunately, Jerry Murphy Carter and Tanya Burns continued to second the appeal, which extended the meeting. And then at the 2-hour and 4-minute mark, he decided to separate everything on the consent agenda because, as he stated, if we want to tango, he's ready to tango. And whenever you separate everything, you're making, I mean, we're talking about trivial things, not even things up for discussion. Like, for example, firemen's shoes. Do we have to discuss firemen's shoes? If we do, understand, you kick up his bottle.
Sorry about that.
That's definitely understandable. A lot of things could be passed in the consent agenda. He made it a point, and he said verbally, I'm separating everything in this consent agenda so I can talk. That'll give him 10 minutes per item. So if we have 15 items, 15 times 10, that's just for his time to talk. And so he began to, again, arguing frivolous points of order. You cannot call a point of order unless a major rule has been breached. You cannot call, and this is according to rule, I believe it's 26.3, 26.2. And so when you continue to call points of order just to get someone told or to tell someone off or just to stop the meeting so you can have the floor, that's also deemed out of order per council rules. And then, and so that's what happened. The meeting was spread out and the meeting was dragged on by manipulating and abusing the rules. We got up to 9 points of order within one appeal. So we just kept stacking them. And it was as if Mr. Mays was trying to confuse us so we couldn't go forward with the meeting. So I told the attorney, I asked if we could just drop everything and just start over because the meeting was going in a mess. It was going amok, going awry. And so part of that is why the meeting drug out so long. Now I definitely respect my colleagues opinion. If they did not agree to but or didn't like it, break quorum, state that, get up. But to sit here and drag the meeting out and to waste time, I'm definitely not a proponent of that. You know, state how you feel and then move on. But unfortunately, it's like we're playing a game. And city business have been deduced to a game. It's been deduced to a game during that budget meeting. You can see it at the meeting that we had, at the appointment meeting we had yesterday. You can see it at the city hall meeting, council meeting that we had on Monday. It feels like we are playing a game and we're not conducting city business. And this is happening underneath one council person, and then it is supported by 2 others. And it's unfair to us.
Okay, anyone have any questions for Councilwoman Lewis?
But Chair,
Yes.
I want to go back as to some of the questions that was asked when we had the other council members here. One of the questions that we asked was, did the council take the proper measures to discuss and to create a sense of a budget previous to the date of the budget meeting, the budget hearing meeting, the final meeting that Monday.
Okay, so restate that for me.
So did the council hold meetings prior to that first Monday in June to find out what they needed to be able to pass the budget on that Monday previous to that Monday?
Absolutely. Yeah, Judy previously, she scheduled some meetings and she also had some callback. I think it was a few departments that did not receive the callback, but she did. She did her best to accommodate the schedule of administration and also, you know, it was everyone. So she did her best. But I would like to add for the record too, I can't remember the exact meeting, the exact time stamp, but we had colleagues complain that they did not like the way that it was handled, that the budget hearing was handled. So this is the second budget hearing that I was a part of. So I really don't know what's a super successful budget meeting and what's a super poor one. And so what I did, I asked for our senior council people, Mr. Mays, Ms. Winfrey Carter, and also Ms. Eva Worthing. I said, well, this is what we can do. Since you all, because Eva, she didn't say anything, so I'm going back to Eric and Jerry. They said, hey, we don't like the way this is going, you know, we do it better than this, and et cetera, et cetera. So I said, hey, how about we collaborate? You tell Judy what worked well, and then we can come up with the ideal process. Because if you all see the things are wrong, help us identify what's wrong. And Mr. Eric May said, no, the only thing we're gonna do is get you out of here. So he basically said, in so many words, we're not interested in trying to fix it, we're trying to get you out of your seat. And that's not a way for us to handle going forth and meeting this budget deadline with that attitude as a senior council person. And he said this on record.
So did you as a council receive the budget from the administration in March as per the city charter?
I do not remember if we received it in March. I don't remember. I remember having it, but I don't remember receiving it in March. And sadly to say, you know, just the same reason why Councilwoman Herkin wrote her left, we have a lot of mental trauma and mental abuse going on this council. So for me to remember little things like that, I don't know. Because we're too busy just trying to have a civil meeting without people being called a-holes, without people being called, what's that, mean MFers? I mean, yeah, so we're just trying to deal and get on to the next resolution. So no, I do apologize for not having that stored in memory. I don't remember.
And my last question is, do you believe that you and the council had enough information from the administration or the department heads that you would have been able to pass the budget on that Monday if there was not any chaos?
I think, well, for one, a lot of administration, they don't like coming to the meeting because of the chaos. We waste their time, and that's just a fact. But I definitely feel that we had enough because we had enough time to ask other questions. We could have emailed them. If we took the time out to personally look through that budget, we could have contacted whomever we need to contact about whatever question that we had. Now, and that's what I do now. So yes, we could have got it done, but we had a council person tell me that it's not their job to Google things related to the city. If it's information that we need out here, we got to go and seek that information. And so all information just will not be put on your lap at the time that you want it placed on your lap. So, I mean, that's just part of this job. So, could administration could have done better? Absolutely. We all could have done better. But were we out of order and chaotic with the way that we handled it? Absolutely. If we be more in order with what we do, then it'll shine a bigger light on the shortcomings of administration. But as long as we're cussing, fussing, fighting, doing what we're doing, it's hard to even identify what's really going on. And for the record, when we talk about the hearing, I know I was scheduled to go out of town for one of the hearings, but we had other council people. They were in Texas at a white party. They even said during the hearing wanted to be at a white party. So did you do your due diligence from when you were at the white party? Because business still has to take place. So did you handle that? Some other council people, they took trips to Florida for a few budget hearing sessions. Did you follow up on that? Or did you just come here expecting everything to be laid in your lap? Whether you're here or not, you still got to do the work. And so, did they miss the meetings? I know I missed a couple, but I'm not the one complaining. I'm not the one holding up business saying what I didn't receive.
Anyone else?
No, it's good.
Anyone? If not, Councilwoman Rose, I appreciate you coming. One thing, we only meet 2 times a month. We were not able to shut down, but it would have been okay because it was just for information that you sent us an email and say, wow, we would have sent that. It was an investigation. What we were trying to do is hear from each council person what they think was the reason. We're going to comply with what they said. Then our job is take what we found, discuss and try to make a recommendation to the council. See will that help you next year. And I'm sure you all have your own idea too how you can make it, but if we all put a lot of that together and come up with a solution, hopefully we can help you do that. So if we can all work together to try to get all this other stuff done going on with the city, and that's what this board is trying to do. But we would accept. In fact, a couple of your colleagues did send an email that I'm not sure for the reason. So that would have been accepted. But I appreciate you coming today, and we take what you said as we do each one of your council, and we took our notes and we'll try to make some suggestions to the council.
Well, I highly recommend Mr. King and colleague to not just take our word for it, because sometimes everything that you hear isn't true. I just encourage you to go back and view the tape. And I know you might be like, nobody want to watch a 3-hour meeting. Break it up. Okay, you get 45 minutes, you get 45, so you all can hear and see for yourself what happened.
Okay. Well, I'm not quite at most council meetings, but I'm in town. So I see, and I was at that meeting. But right now, we was only dealing with the one thing, is the budget was not passed according to charter.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these other things just come as a different discussion. We don't want to combine things together. We have a lot of complaints, but this was just for, while the child was violated. Almost everyone in here pretty much know what's going on, council and the child, but it was just, it was something we need to address, and it give us a start when address another issue. And we are not here to beat up on nobody. I think it's better if this board, council administration, we all work with the child. The child is not perfect, but it's a good guideline. I think it's gonna help the city if everybody starts trying to work within that charter, what they say, and I think we'll see a lot of things start happening. But now is the charter is being grossly violated across the board, and we're trying to find our way to. And this was a starting point where we get everybody to sit together, talk about it, and get to understand each other, and we can move with that. I think it's a good start point, and it's great that you've been here today.
Not a problem. Thanks for the presentation again.
Man,
I got some, go ahead.
real quick, so when you separate agenda items, that means each council person has, I know there are 2 rounds, so each person has a full total of 10 minutes
10 minutes total, 5 per round,
per separated item.
per separated item.
So that gives each council person technically 2 hours and 30 minutes to talk about all 15 items.
Absolutely. So you multiply that times 9.
Okay. The other thing is in separating agenda items, does there have to be a second? And I understand you have to in order to separate to get an understanding, but is there usually a second that goes along with
No.
separating?
Not at all.
agenda items?
It doesn't have to be seconded at all. It's whatever you see. When you separate agenda items, theoretically, that's put forth so you could separate items that you want to discuss further, that you want more information about, so you can make a valid decision on your vote. But our separating is used for punishment, ways to expand speaking time. Because if you listen to a lot of the conversation from our first ward council person when he separates things, I would not care if he separated every item, but he had valid facts. If he had valid facts and questions, I'd be like, well, that's just 2 hours, 30 minutes that we're here for. The man got something to say. But when you use your time to belittle colleagues, call them handkerchief head Negroes, when you use it to become out of order, when you use it to speak to the crowd, mind you, this is the table, this is the front. When you specifically turn your chair around so you're talking exclusively to the crowd, but that's also against the rules too. You're supposed to address the chair and the body, not the crowd. When you are doing that with your 5 minutes, then we have a problem with that. That's when your 5 minutes is grossly violating the rules and being disrespectful of your colleague's time, and that's what happens. Because I have a family here, and the other people in council, they have families. Some people, they go home to no one, not knocking that at all. But, he made the comment, I stay at the club later than this. I have all night. So when you have that attitude and you do those things, it punishes people like us and my child and my family at home waiting on me. When the meeting could have been done 2 to 3, 4 hours ahead of time. Last, what was it, like on Monday, we finished council in under 30 minutes. When he was asked to leave. So, not saying this to belittle anybody or anything, but just to put this thing in context. When you can use weapons and separations as a weapon, and separations are used as a weapon.
Now, all 15 items that were separated, did they all 15 items?
No, mind you, I just used the number
Right.
15, it could have been more.
Okay,
Okay.
But the items in which were separated, were they all pertaining to the budget? Or were they all separate items after the budget?
It's all separate.
So, question, how come somebody, one of your colleagues did not make a motion to move voting on the budget first in the agenda?
I know that happened, I know Dennis Pfeiffer made a motion, and I believe that's how we got the, how we got the budget passed? Is that how we got the budget passed? I think that's how we got the budget passed. Dennis Pfeiffer made a motion to move the budget to the beginning. Now, don't quote me on that, but I do remember that happening. Again, so much happening at these meetings. Yeah, so I think Dennis Pfeiffer, he did do that. So that's how, you know what, let me take that back. Arthur Woodson was at the meeting, and he said it, and it's recorded. He said that we're going to filibuster so they can't pass the budget. He said that we're going to filibuster it because we had special affairs, and then we had a pause, and then we had the meeting, and then he mentioned that as he was talking to Mike, that we're going to filibuster so they won't be able to pass the meeting. So that's when the meeting was called to order, because he was telling the people in the audience to use their 3 minutes to speak, and if you do that, that'll put us at the 9:30 threshold, so we have to leave the county building. And so Pfeiffer, he put a motion on the floor to move passing the budget ahead of public comments. So that's how we, finessed around that. But again, we have community members and we have council members purposely stalling the budget. And I can definitely find you the tape when Arthur Woodson made that comment about stalling.
Also, my other question is, could the budget have been passed before the Monday deadline? Or is the Monday deadline the deadline, is it just the day that the budget has to be passed? Or can the budget be passed before that
They can be
day?
passed before, but that's just the deadline.
Okay. Okay.
Any other question? Councilwoman Lewis? How you doing?
My apologies for tardiness.
Yeah.
Bring up to speak. So Councilwoman Lewis is here to address the breaking of the council rules for last budget.
Okay.
Would you have anything, Councilwoman, before she leave?
No, I came in late. I'll catch up.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, Dr. You all have a great day.
You
Okay.
too.
Councilwoman Lewis, thank you, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks for
Thank you so much.
attending.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, we'll move to open remarks. Only thing we had, and Mr. Harris, Ms. Young, and Ms. Bolton. Had to recognize my buddy. She met with the mayor and the chief of staff, and we will speak. You got a letter. You got communication on what came out of that, and we was in a question with that. We will
I did.
talk about it as we move through the agenda. We got a few things here we're going through, but I think we'll start making headway with the board, and we want to keep it. Yeah. So we want to keep, and I think, as long as we do our job, and we put our standard higher than what we are gonna put other people's at, but we're gonna try to put them, I think we're gonna be all right. First, we have to put our standard above everyone else's standard. And I hope and I'm sure we're gonna do that, because this board is, I have never seen another board that everyone is also on the same page, understand what we're here for. So I like the makeup, and I think we keep working on it. Just remember, we set the standard, and we gotta be the standard bearer for the rest of the city if we're gonna be trying to hold them to the standard. With that,
Mr. Chair,
Madam Chair.
can I ask a question? I know the charter says we are an 11-member board. Is there a council person that hasn't made an appointment, or which seats are not filled? Because I think that needs to be one of our
Yeah.
primary focuses
Yeah.
in terms of making sure we have a complete board.
we have one from the mayor, we have one from Ward
4.
4,
That needs to be done?
4, and
6.
6 has been done.
six.
They didn't get to it, but they,
But the appointment's been
that
made,
appointment have been
right, they
made.
just
So-
didn't get to it in the meeting, so no swearing in or
So the mayor, 1 and 4,
one and, no,
One and,
Yes,
the
4
mayor
and
and
6.
4.
the mayor and 4.
the mayor and 4.
6 has been
Yes.
appointed,
Oh,
they just
yeah.
haven't voted in.
Well,
Okay.
6 is appointment that been made, it just has to go through the council.
Okay, gotcha.
And per,
So, but we have the mayor, one of the mayor appointment, and Ward 4 have not presented anything to the council.
and per Councilwoman Priestley,
That's Priestley.
she says, because we have asked numerous times, she says she is having a hard time finding someone to want to basically, because the board doesn't get paid and it's volunteer, she's having a hard time finding volunteers for the board. That's basically what she said. She's been asking, but nobody wants to volunteer in her ward for the board. So she has asked, yeah, they'll do planning, they get paid. They'll do water, they get paid.
How
Well,
did that happen?
regardless of that though, she's gotta do more. We need to see if there's something maybe we could do to
Yeah.
assist her. Maybe we know someone in her ward that we can talk to, but we need to try to have our board at full strength, and then we can really take care of more business. So, I think we need to reach out to her again and see if it's something maybe we can do to help facilitate that. And then the same thing with the mayor. If he has an empty appointment, we need to encourage him to make that appointment.
Yeah, well, and I don't know whether he made one and he didn't know that they wasn't gonna be able to serve time because they worked for the city. He thought they had retired or wasn't working. That's what to me. That was one before you were serving term then. I think you actually put some effort out. His last 2 was appointment of, he has been pretty short span. So I expect him to be, well, a lot of people don't wanna do it, I expect him to find somebody. I think Ms. Priestley haven't had anyone here, and who was the, she haven't had one here, and since she been on the council, I think.
I can't believe there's not a single person that's willing to volunteer in that ward. Is there any way we can put out an announcement to encourage residents of that ward, if they're interested in serving, to contact their council person?
Well, I will talk with her, and I can talk to her. I used to be part of that, East Side, Association over there for years. I know a lot of those, people there, they're volunteers, so I can I can reach out to some of them, see if they've been approached. And I try to talk with her about it, I try to get her some of those names
Okay.
that I know and then.
And at one time, Paul, what did put it on some of his streams to advertise that we were looking for EAB members for this ward and that ward. I
Okay,
sent
we
him
should
an
do
email, so
that
I can
again.
ask him, I'll ask him to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, but they got a pretty good,
I'm sure someone
community
from the
association over there.
Spanish speaking center would, volunteer. I'm sure somebody from the Spanish speaking center may volunteer. They all are always overlooked when it come down to, appointments and activities and.
Yeah, and I don't know how well she connected into a lot of
her
community groups over there, but.
A lot of them are Hispanic in
Well,
that area.
Well, see, that, I don't think that, well, I'll be honest with you, I don't think that's no longer her ward. It used to be her ward,
Right.
but since they have redone all of these boundaries,
Redistrict.
I don't think that area is no longer in her ward, and if it is, I don't know how much of it is left in her ward that exists.
Right, because I was in the 4th ward, but now I'm back in the 3rd, and I live off of Branch Road.
Yeah, well,
So you
Well,
may be
So
correct.
can you request from the city clerk's office a copy of the newly drawn ward line so that we can,
And you wanna know what, I'm laughing.
You're right.
I'm laughing, because guess what?
that
you
might
already
have
did?
It is posted online, but this is the problem. It only breaks it down by precinct.
Can I see that?
And it only tells you where the precinct street line in the voting center is at. It doesn't break it down fully to what streets are actually there. So like, for instance, I live in 8th Ward. If you look at 8th Ward and 6th Ward, that line right there, one of those lines is Miller Road. The other line is Yale Street. But see, which is three streets up from Miller Road. And 6th Ward has never pushed that far. And so, but then if you look at it here, we pushed past Fenton Road all the way up to Grand Traverse Street, which has never been. So with the redistricting, a lot of people have been, the problem is it doesn't give a full breakdown by saying
Yeah.
these streets are
But
in
Isn't
your
there
ward.
a map of streets in this same, like, we can do an overlay
Maps of streets.
and we can
That's
highlight the.
That's a good idea. I like
mean,
that.
we can't wait. If it doesn't exist, then
They
we
do it
need
Yeah,
for
we gotta
elections.
create it.
They
Yeah.
do it for elections,
Yeah,
so they can do
It
it.
is,
No,
it exists.
because, well, we can right downstairs, they can run the map for us. What I did was, I know what the boundaries are, so I just, not by streets, I just read around that, but I could try to,
Found it.
let me,
the streets.
East Village Magazine.
yeah.
Okay. There had to be something out there.
Yeah, because my commissioner used to be, it was what Brian Nolan before he passed, but it's Delrico Lloyd now. But because they switched from the 4th to the 3rd, I used to be the 4th ward, and it was the
Old
4th
map.
ward.
Oh, okay.
It was
That's
Ellen Ellenberg was my county commissioner. So a lot of people don't know who their representatives are right now because they redistrict so broadly.
Well, I will,
That's a good idea, Mr. Sheriff.
see, if we just want a large map that we wanna have, I would have that, allow that to, what do we call it, economic
That's one
development.
side,
go down in the
Branch
bin.
Road,
And they'll run it
side,
off. I get one
Genesee.
name, put it forward.
Thank you.
I'm waiting on
The third?
Moving on to the next agenda item,
Branch Road.
review, change, and approve of the agenda.
And what change did you make?
Move approval.
Move approve, any changes. I just need a motion.
I move approval of the agenda as presented.
Second.
Moving second, approval of the agenda. Roll call, Linda.
Joseph King,
Yes.
Linda Booth,
Yes.
Patrick Julian,
Yes.
Michael Hutchison.
Yes.
William Harris.
Yes.
Paige Russo.
Yes.
Trishelle Bowling.
Yes.
Okay,
And 7-1. I mean 7-0.
7-0. Agenda has been approved. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from last meeting. I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the minutes from the July 11th meeting, I believe it is.
Second.
Moving proper second.
Support.
Roll call.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Ms. Booth,
Yes.
Patrick Julian,
Yes.
Michael Hutchison.
Yes.
William Harris.
Yes.
Paige Russo.
Yes.
Trishelle Bowling.
Yes.
Okay, 7-0 again.
0. Item 9. No special report. Ms. Lell, you got the floor.
Okay, you have some sheets that look like maps, and this is how it is in the database system where we enter complaints in the buzz person's office. And, as you will see, we have the majority of the complaints are council complaints. We selected not to necessarily use the person's name who made the complaint, correct, or?
Well, as you go through your report, then
Okay.
I address those issues.
Okay, now the only one, of course, is Pastor Taylor. And Pastor Taylor is the pastor of Freedom Temple Church.
That one,
We talked about it. But that's the
Well,
only,
if that's, how you gonna get your report, let me back up. Because some of these could be there might be some legal litigation coming. And I don't wanna compromise that, other city. So I don't wanna use, names or anything, who was what, when it could be moving forward. We can talk about what the complaint is about, but not put the name, especially this one, because there are things that couldn't help the city. And, and everyone have a copy of it, so if we want to discuss it, we don't want to use the name, complaint or the contractor.
Mr. Chair, so I'm new to the board. I guess I'm not understanding how the process works. When someone makes a complaint to you, to your office, you investigate and then you bring it to this board?
no.
So
The only complaints that, I go over a summary of some complaints that I have in the office, I do report, so
Okay.
they kinda know blight, what's up, what's the biggest complaints
Okay.
about. I did that, last meeting, but now, as addressed, these are ones that needed to be bring forth just to the EAB, because they are for elected officials.
So these are they're for us to look
Yes.
at and to decide what the
Yes.
action should be,
Right.
if any.
Right,
Okay. Not what you're investigating, this is for us to do something.
yes.
Gotcha. That's what all of these are.
Well, no, not the one for Pastor Taylor, no, you can kind of disregard that one.
The name that you're not gonna say again?
Oh, well, in Jesus.
That's why, let's move.
I think we're a short one.
Okay.
Let's do something different, let's do something
Okay,
different.
all right.
Go ahead and give your report, and we will
Okay.
come in the board, we will decide what we wanna do with the complaints.
What the one complaint that I would bring forth,
Just,
there's a,
the complaint, we're gonna get to it when you finish. Decide how we wanna.
anything different from last week, it's just that, one complaint that, with the parking lot situation where the city subcontract, to do some work on the Hunt Street, and they park some heavy equipment without the city's permission, nor the person that runs the property permission, and it's damaged the parking lot. So I'm corresponding back and forth with DPW to see where we're going with it, because they did make some repairs, but they're not pleased with the repairs. So,
Is there any reason that complaint came to the city as opposed to the contractor? They're just connecting it because they were contracted through the city?
because they're contracted through the city.
So have you talked with legal? Because typically any contractor has to sign an indemnification agreement, meaning that if their actions cause any liability, they assume all that liability and they hold the city harmless.
Okay.
And I'm sure they would have had that type of agreement with this contractor,
Okay.
so that
And I
may
do
be
know the contractor, okay.
something that you should look into.
All right.
Because it may be quick for you to respond and say, hey, that's an issue between, according to your contract, that contract, that's an issue between them. Now, they can
And that-
choose to still sue that contractor and the city, but then it's up to the city to say, hey, it's not us,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, one thing, when she bring it to us, I mean, she figured past what she had for the board to take action. And that's why I was making the statement, we might want to look at this and the board figure out whether it's something that we should move on or let it go to, let legal and whoever at the city handle. The only thing should come to the board from her was stuff that she had gotten past where she came, that she went first, she came with it. And the board need to take action. If she is investigated, she can come here. But if she have took the step and she feels it's above what she's at, what she should be doing, is come here, then we take action. And that'll take care of the things that she could. And one reason why I had with this one is I think the complainant have not went through everything the way he's gonna be going, other than way he's, further than here, further than we're gonna be able to take action, because if it's legal, we can investigate contracts, but I would like to know where the city stands on that.
Right.
Before we do anything, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna break the contract? Are they gonna say, well, it's not our business? Then we might need to look at it. But I don't wanna get ahead of the process in the city.
And I would agree with that. Is one of the things as part of your process, investigative process, do you kind of automatically check with legal to see if legal is aware of the issue or if there's any type of ongoing litigation? Because that in and of itself should make you take a step back to say, okay, there's active, like the ARPA committee issue that's been brought to the board. Now that they filed litigation in court, we should be stepping back because now that's in the court system. And they're gonna take action the way they see fit. So if there's something being done illegal, that determination will be made over there. There's no sense in us doing what they're doing.
Right.
So I think one of the checks and balances that you need to make sure while maintaining your confidentiality is there anything going on regarding this issue? If so, what is the city's position? Without disclosing what all the complainant has made.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I'll just piggybacking off of what she said, because I believe that complainant could have went through the damage claim process first before coming to the ombudsman's office, or the ombudsperson could say, well, did you file a claim on that damage to your property? So that way it don't even come up here, because it's another solution before it get here.
But wouldn't the damage claim only be in regards to if the city itself is liable. If the subcontractor is liable, then damage claim going through the city, I think would be, and I'm just, asking, would that be a moot point?
Yeah, but they haven't gotten to that point of finding out who was responsible, because the person who was making the complaint was believing it was the city's responsibility. First and foremost, the city could have said, well, respond and saying that it wasn't us, it was our general contractor, and we'll go and have them communicate with you, or whatever the case may be. But to come here, it was premature, I believe.
Because I read through it, and I'm reading the language here. The city directed the individual by letting them know that this was not the city's. The city didn't do it itself. It was the subcontractor that did it. So the city gave him a response. The city didn't tell him what to do after that, but the city did give him a response by saying, yes, we did subcontract them. No, we did not tell them to do X, Y, and Z. And so I'm thinking, this individual is like, he probably, because at this point, then it's like, okay, there's damage, but it was subcontracted. Who holds the subcontractor's feet to the fire? And I think that's where Mrs. Bowling is coming in by saying, if we go through legal, let legal be the ones to hold their feet to the fire and getting the full explanation of things of that nature. Since they subcontracted them out, there are certain things that are already in that contract that in case there is damage, that the subcontractor has to fix and is responsible for.
Okay.
So, what, go ahead.
I had gotten into all that investigation process, but I was asked to bring it to this for discussion. I was asked to bring it discussion, so that investigative process of who it was, who's the subcontractor and all that, I have all that information. And I have given it to the complainant.
My suggestion is, we need to give an answer to each of these. At this point, I think the only thing we can do is let the complainant know that there's not much we can do at this point. At least we can let him know that there's other challenge he needs to go through. And if something come up in the future that we do have a right to investigate contractors for the city, then we would handle it, but we need to respond to that complaint. And my suggestion is, that's what we do, respond to it. There's nothing we can do at this point because of things about it, and get that to them.
And so for us, for our board, unless the city is not following, responding, or, because, Mr. Woodson was here last week or a couple weeks ago and was saying he put in the FOIA and, they haven't responded and, and I was saying, well, there's already a process in place. So really, unless he's not able to utilize and they're not responding to the process, that only is our trigger to come in.
Right.
Because he chooses not to utilize that process does not trigger us to get involved.
Okay, the process had been explained to him, but as stated, I was asked to put this on the agenda.
So, just off the here, have you been to some ombudsman training?
No, I haven't, because,
Just say no.
no,
Okay.
that's one of the topics of discussion with the method of payment and signing up, so we'll probably get into that later, but no, I haven't.
So do we need a motion to get a letter out to the complainant explaining our position or lack of responsibility at this point?
I think it might be proper.
Wait, so was his complaint to the ombudsman or to us?
Same.
It's not the same. It's not the
Okay, it
same.
comes from a department
He'll
head.
be out here.
So
Now that it
the complaint was made to the ombudsman.
Okay.
According to what I read here, the person was not happy because he didn't get any information, he didn't get, according to him, he didn't get the proper direction on how to get this actually resolved, which is why he asked for it to be escalated before the board, so that we could probably direct him in the correct way of trying to handle this. Because according to him, he said that he wasn't, according to this,
So he asked it to come to the board.
for further clarification.
No, he,
Okay, let
Well-
me, I did talk with him, I did tell him who the subcontractor was and the steps to take in the matter. And, Mr. Harris, because he wasn't pleased, am I correct?
Yes.
Asked me to bring it to the board.
So
Not
Mr.
that-
Harris
he
asked you
right,
not
he
to
didn't
complain.
direct me, because he don't know anything about
Yeah,
who
because
actually
from what I'm
complains to.
hearing, it still should not have come to us.
Okay, but I was asked.
But I mean, I hear that you asked, which is why it would've came,
Right.
but I think it was
Oh, no,
not,
it wouldn't have
there was
came.
no proper trigger to put it before this
Right,
body.
it wouldn't
The
have
only,
came.
the one thing that was triggered is that he, and this was the individual that made contact with me and said, I did not feel that I was real, according to him. He said he understood the information that was given to him, but he still feels like, it's like, okay, so that you have a subcontractor that did a patch job and didn't do the work, and here I am with, a parking lot that's damaged, and I don't feel like I got proper restitution on this. And he's like, well, what should I do? Where should I go? I mean, probably if he was told to contact, I don't know if he was told to through the report, if he was told to contact legal
But I
and
don't-
ask legal to
I
go
don't think
through
it's
it.
our job to tell him what his next step is what I'm saying. That's not the role and responsibility of the board. If he needs legal guidance, because that's what it sounds like to me,
And that's
he
honest,
should
now
consult an
does.
attorney at his expense. You should not be giving him advice on what his next step should be in this process. That's not our role.
right, and here's,
It's not.
right, here's something else we gotta understand. We don't wanna get into the thing, make people think that they complain
that's
to the
what
board.
Pitt
Or
said.
complain she could put on buzz off, and when she can't handle it, and we take the complaint. We don't want people bypassing the process. Now, if, once it's gone through there, and she can't come up with a solution, then that's what this board should be handling it.
And she can ask for that if she needs it. But I also think that as board members, we should not allow people to come to us individually to get an issue before this board. We should have a process. If anybody wants to make an official complaint for the board to review, it has to go through a process. It should not be able to come in through me, through you, or anybody else, because that's them trying to get in, and to me, in a roundabout way. And everybody should have to come through the same way. Everybody.
And he did call, when given the information from Mr. Harris, he did call to make the appointment with the bus person's office. And I did my research, and I gave him the subcontractors and the information, and I told him what process that I recommend that he contact them. I even did even more research with DPW, and I have some of those, the attached notes to that. So
Part of your
So-
recommendation
so my
was not for it to come here.
So
it was, no, it
okay,
wasn't.
so I'll take it a little bit further than this, because I have privileged information in regards to this.
This
The
is an
gen-
open meeting now. If it's
Yeah, I know,
privileged.
it's
Yeah.
privilege, meaning the gentleman contacted the subcontractor, and the subcontractor said, we are not obligated to do anything beyond to what we did. What we did for you was out of consideration. That's what that's what the person complained back to me about, was that the subcontractor told him this. The reason why I had it escalated was because I know that the board can investigate contracts. And if the subcontractor is breaking a binding agreement that they made with the city, that's something that we should look into. Forgive me, I didn't add all that information in, but that's why when he told me that, I said, okay, now I can see why you're feeling this way. And yes, the board can investigate in the contracts. And I said, that's why I said, okay, bring it before the board. Maybe we can do a little bit more digging and to try to figure out what the actual contract agreement was between the contractor and the city. Because if this gentleman is saying this is what the subcontractor said, well, you're SOL. I mean, then what the heck are we, and we're the board, And yeah, I understand we're supposed to have hand of charter, but then when you have a subcontractor telling a person who's a private citizen, saying, well, you're SOL, ain't nothing you can do, and this man's parking lot was blocked and everything else, and I know it's a church, and so they're not able to conduct the business. I mean, we got to move. That's the only reason why I brought it, was so that we could dig deeper.
But all of that is hearsay. That's a conversation between you and him. There's no record to document any of that has been presented to the board. Not saying I don't accept every word you say as fact, but it needs to come from the complainant to the board in black and white.
I can direct them in that manner.
But she needs to exhaust all her resources before it comes to the board, because we don't even have to even deal with it. She can probably finish it and give him her recommendation of what he should do, says nothing else I can do, and leave it at that. And he go and do what he needs to do to make it resolved.
Well, one thing you better do, because there are some things that have to be bypassed, Ombudsman. If you read to do this, there are some things this board.
That can come straight to us.
Straight, and we have to, we don't need a complaint to investigate certain things.
We don't, but if it's coming from a particular person and an incident, because this is coming from your conversation with him. This is not the board saying, oh, this is something we should look at. You want to look at it because of your conversation with this gentleman.
Right, because the citizen, so this is the problem. The average citizen doesn't really know what to do. That's one of the I'm just being honest with you. That's one of the biggest problems. Everybody says, well, yeah, go and file a damage suit, go and complain to the city. But if the city wasn't the one that was responsible and the subcontractor, I'm just talking about overall, then people feel like they're helpless. And I'm being honest with you. They feel like, well, then shoot. Subcontractors, these contractors are able to do whatever the heck we want to do and treat us any old kind of way. And nobody is really holding their feet to the fire when we have been wrong. And so I think that's where, because his frustration got to me, because I was just having a conversation with him, and when he called me and he was frustrated saying, I can't hold church because this stuff is in my parking lot. That hurts my finances, that hurts my membership, that hurts how we look and how we function as a church. They give out food and they do things in the community. So I can understand his frustration. Now he's like, now my parking lot is even more tore up. So I can understand that, and I think that's what got me. I'll just be honest with you. He touched my heart, and he did.
I have some questions about that. So his business is on Sunday, and it's a church, and I'm very familiar with this area. Why would the contractors leave heavy equipment there in the parking lot over the weekend? Was it true? Is there a videotape? Is there any evidence? I thought that this parking lot on this side was gravel, not pavement. So how do we know what the condition of the parking lot was before the contractors to prove damage?
You don't. That's my whole point.
And if this isn't an ethics violation of the city of Flint, because first it says that the city of Flint parked there, which is not true. It was a subcontractor. And then the city's response was that city did not give them permission. So this is legal, not an ethics violation.
And we have a lot of stuff that have proper triggers that's on the agenda that we should be focusing time on. Not saying that that's not, I'm just saying stuff has to come to us the right way. She's already investigated and given him some direction. If he follows her recommendations and the subcontractor blows him off and we talk to legal and legal talks to the subcontractor and they blowing legal off, now it needs to come to us because other avenues have been pursued and they're not being accountable for their issues. But I'm just saying, we can't just take willy-nilly because it touch our hearts. We're going to be up here on all kind of issues.
Well, I understand that, but if the gentleman, now, if he, just being honest with you, if he knew to contact legal, that would have been one thing. He probably would have said, well, no, Billy, I'll just deal with the legal department on that. That never came up in the conversation.
She said she told him who to contact, though.
You told him to contact legal.
No, I didn't tell him to contact legal. I told him to contact
the contractor.
The subcontractor.
And
that's what he didn't need it. Legal had already gave their response, though.
No, legal never gave their response. That's what we're saying. It never went to legal.
Didn't you just say that legal said
street maintenance?
No. Oh, it was street maintenance.
Yes.
Okay.
It was street
Did you ever speak with legal?
No, no.
I got you, okay.
But because it's a subcontractor, is the city liable?
Typically, no.
Because like, say it's a street tree. If the city, because it's protected by a law in the state, if it falls and damages someone's house, car, whatever, fence, the city's not responsible. Wouldn't this be a similar?
Very. And that's kind of the whole point of subcontractors. We make sure we're not gonna be liable if they're negligent, if they cause damage or harm. That's what I was saying before. They indemnify the city. Because we do contract them, so they can connect us to the job, but they can't hold us legally liable because we didn't cause the damage. And that contractor knows the laws, the rules, and the regulations, and they sign up to do a job, and they're accountable if somebody is harmed while they're doing that job.
And let me address the being a contractor, that did contracting for the city. You bid a job. Bid a job to the city, but no one else can give you instruction to park on private property. You as the contractor make those decisions.
Absolutely.
You contract to do the job. You contract to do whatever it takes for you to do the job. And when you do that, you're reliable for whatever damage you do as a contractor, unless the city give you some direct instructions say you can do that. But other than that, the contractor is responsible for any damage. If I'm out there working on somebody's yard next door to your yard and I mess up your yard, it's on me. It's not on that customer.
The homeowner.
So it's it is the contractor legally responsibility. I don't think nobody in the city told them to go up and block by the parking lot at a church. But I still saying that is, I don't think it's ready for this board to be taking that matter up.
I agree.
And I think the only thing we can do is reply back to them, let them know that, and you might need to talk to the legal, say what position they're gonna take, and you can let him, I don't know.
Yeah.
That, you know, you have to, and I'm sure legal gonna tell you where the city started in with that contract. And that'll give you the direction on how to answer the reply back to you.
And I don't know how much phone conversation or in-person conversation you have, but you want to put much as possible in writing so that he can't say, well, she said this and that.
Right.
You want to make sure you put everything in writing as far as your response, his response, so that I see that in the emails right there, but I'm saying you want to make the proper paperwork trail. Yeah.
Because as you can see, on the 18th, when I did give him the information on who to contact, and I talked to him on the phone, and he said, okay, and the case was closed. But then some other,
He talked to you after the 18th.
yeah.
What was that?
Because when I talked to him and gave him the information on who to contact, the case was closed. I opened it back up.
That was
when
So, I don't think we need a motion, I guess.
No.
Thing is, there's nothing we can do with it, so,
She already knows.
so we will move, on to the next part of your report.
that's it. The other was just the complaints that came in that I should bring to the board about elected officials.
Okay, you're looking at, you'll definitely come to us.
All right, so I'm looking at 3. Is it more than 3?
One person has made several complaints. I wrote in a date up there on the
Okay.
staple copy. So there's 3. One person made 2 complaints.
Got you. One question before we get into the specific complaints. When a complaint is made regarding a particular council person or behavior, aren't all those council meetings recorded?
Yes, they
Yes.
are.
Are you able to go to the city clerk and get a copy of that particular meeting so that we can actually review what the complaint is?
I have a clip of some, but I look at the meeting myself. I don't
Okay.
go to them, but yes.
The whole thing is why this board is set.
Right, because I'd like to
Person
see
do
it.
not investigate elected officials.
Right, so, but I'm saying, like, I need you to at least obtain the footage
Oh.
to provide to us so that we can see the behavior that's being complained of.
Okay.
Can you do that?
But the footage would just basically be the YouTube footage of the meeting. You talking about, can I narrow it down to just?
You talking about what Paul does?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's basically,
So
yeah,
that's
Paul,
what it is,
it's just
that's-
what Paul,
They're
yeah.
all on
Yes.
YouTube.
Yeah, you
Okay,
can-
so that's
you can
how
pull
I
up
would
the
get it.
meetings.
So we can
Yeah.
just kind of go
Because
online
and the dates are
Okay.
in the complaints.
Yeah.
All right,
And then we do have one, I forwarded that one, and it did have just the clip of some actions that was going on.
you sent that to us?
Yes, I did.
Via email? Okay.
Yes.
I saw that
Yeah.
one.
I don't think I
I
saw
didn't
that
see
one.
that one.
That one was sent down, I think I got that complaint.
Yeah,
Monday.
I saw it.
Monday?
Uh-huh.
What is that?
Oh, yeah, I see
The
it.
You
issue,
see it, okay.
what we,
Yeah, I saw it.
what we're looking at is, the problem I have with the complaint is, right now, is we need to set a standard where we're gonna handle these, because there have been so much did by just about everybody on that council in the last, almost 2 years. that-
Repeatedly.
Right, that
I
we
mean-
need to say, as of now, and let the council know this is, we will start doing our job. Because what we're gonna start with now is, you didn't do this 2 years ago, a year ago, 6 months ago, when someone else did this. And now you're gonna sing me out, she or her out, and something, so we got a real sticky situation here. How we handle this, how we start moving with these. I'm not going back to 2022. And I think I had a conversation with there yesterday. I'm not going back to anything that happened prior to, y'all that look at me chair. I'm not gonna be responsible for it, and I don't, and we have a 90-day window on taking care of any complaint. But
Now, where is that said, the 90-day window?
it's in our,
Charter.
it's in our.
No, it's in our bylaws.
Says definitely not in the charter.
Not in the
It's in
charter?
our bylaws.
It's in the bylaws.
Okay.
It's in the
Oh,
board
this is an
bylaws.
ordinance. Okay,
There's in the board bylaws.
okay.
First put the board together.
So these complaints that are before us now, are they all in that window?
I think they
They
just
are.
came out.
Okay.
They just came along, but
Yeah.
how
So
do we?
acknowledge these complaints and say we have received a complaint? We're just notifying you that we have received a complaint,
yes.
that we are,
Anything that I get email, I respond back, yes, I acknowledge that it was received.
no. The person who's being complained of, do you notify them that we have received a complaint and we are initiating an investigation?
Not until after it's in
Right.
for discussion.
Because they elect official.
Mm-hmm.
We have to reply to these.
Do we use her office for everything? Cause it sounds like we need our own budget,
That's
we
what we
need
just
our own
said.
secretary.
We've been
That's-
saying, we always say that.
That is what,
I
that is
mean,
what we've been saying.
you're not supposed to be our secretary, and I feel like at the end of the day, you are secretary too.
Now you feel what we've been talking about going through, trying to get that.
But this board has never had a budget, is that correct?
That's correct.
Have you ever asked for one?
The
Yes.
council gave us a budget.
Oh, you did have a budget.
No, council voted to give us a budget. And
The administration?
Did not sign off
administration
on
didn't
it.
sign off on it.
Okay.
And so we're still waiting on that, and to the point now where
they
we
don't
got
want
to
us to
present, try to present them another budget.
Well, why would we wait on that? Why don't we put together a proposed budget and say, this is what we need to effectively operate and follow our charter mandated responsibilities, and
Right.
send that to the administration and say,
That-
and the city council. That's time we don't have to wait on the next, and you see what happened the last budget period.
So.
Ain't no guarantees
So
there.
we
So
started
check
that
this out.
process.
We started that process, we had a conversation about that process, me and Mr. King went up to finance to talk about it, and we were emphatically told there are no more changes in this budget for this year. Everything has already been allocated out. We cannot do anything until after, they told us, you must now appeal in July to city council for any additions to your budget, to the ombudsman's budget, or if you want a budget. And me and Mr. King got on top of that back in March. So we had to wait April, May, June, and now finally July to when we could possibly go before council to ask them for any addendum changes. That's what we were told, flat out.
Did I put anything in writing?
Oh, no.
We had a committee that, we never got finished with that, but.
We did have a committee that put together
So
a budget
we gave-
for us.
So in other words, we, pass is going.
Exactly.
Now we can move forward today now, it's just saying that make some suggestion and move on it.
What I'm proposing is that we sit down and put together necessary funds to do what we need to do, because I think we're overburdening the ombudsman's office, and you're already a one-person office trying to get help in that office. So you're doing all our work and all your work at the same time. And we have our own obligations to investigate, to do hearings, subpoenas. We have as many powers as you do, actually, except you run in a different office.
Right.
We need to be able to do that independently of you as well. Unless we use one of your assistants that you don't have.
The administrative assistant was the person that came to the meetings, took the minutes. and would bring
Well, maybe we need to look at
anything.
filling
The bus
that
person
position.
didn't even attend the meetings unless she had to make a report. She didn't always attend the meetings.
What has been suggested, and I've just suggested more of one, we need our own secretary. We might need someone, because we all got job and stuff on our side. But we don't have.
You retired,
time.
Mr. King.
We
You
might
ain't got
need-
no job.
I'm retired.
He busier than us and he ain't got no job. He forget he retired.
You also,
Twice.
you also have to remember that the Human Relations Commission, has to be functioning out of that budget as well.
Right.
I don't know what that function is.
They come on down bus, they come on down bus.
Busman, because they have a
They had to handle
grant,
that.
they have
They
that.
had to handle that.
They asked for a secretary as well, and wanted to know if the board would be willing to go on if we all agree on one secretary and we'd be able to split off the duties. Well, that was fine, that was the agreement, but then we found out 6 of the 9 board members no longer live in their wards, and so there
They have to be
are only
reappointed.
3 active members on the Human Relations Board.
And I have
Because they
sent
didn't check
notice,
them out in the first place.
and
No.
I did
No,
send
that's
notice to the
because,
clerk on several occasions
changes
that
boundaries.
appointments need to be made.
But
to
did
Human
the
Relations.
position of the secretary get funded?
No, it's,
The analyst,
Shared.
the
That-
human
the
relations,
analyst.
they had an analyst.
Okay.
And because their caseload at that point was much lighter than the bus person, she worked as the spokesperson, analyst, and we would say secretary to the Human Relations Board. And they only met, once a month when they were able to have a quorum. But that's what the HR, the Human Relations analyst was, and that was a paid full-time position in the bus person's office.
What we have to do is figure out what this board is gonna need. Once we come up with what we need on the board, then we can set a budget.
Exactly, and that's why I think we should have a committee
We're right.
that will work on that issue, that can bring something back to the board for consideration before we try to go to the administration or finance director or anybody.
I don't mind working with any people on here, I don't want to.
Because I think this board needs to,
And we need to do that.
we need to have some official training. There's a ethics and accountability board in DC that provides training for ethics and accountability boards.
I know.
I brought up the
Well, so.
We asked for
Hold
that.
on, put a pin on that one. So whether you know it or not, I got back from DC. And I did bring that up before the board, that either we fly out to DC to get the proper training from them, or if we have them to come in and we do a seminar for training as well. I did bring that information back, because I did find that out. I did bring that back. But then also, we did have a committee that Mr. King put together between Carol McIntosh, Linda Thompson, who's no longer on our board, but she was a board member, and I think somebody else. Mr. Rodriguez, who was the mayor's appointment,
appointee.
but he's no longer on the board. They came together and they did put a budget together of what the board needed as far as finances.
Where's that? Who has that?
It never, we can ask Ms. McIntosh, but we never got all the information from Ms. Thompson, because things got,
Oh,
as
we
far
still,
as,
I thought, so we never got all the information from Ms.
I
Thompson?
didn't get anything.
No,
Okay.
well,
That was a
I
big
tried to
point.
reach
I'm
out,
sorry.
but I never get a response. But,
But you said Miss McIntosh was on that committee?
yeah, and I think Ms.
She tried to contact her too.
Well, I'm not gonna speak for anyone
Right,
else.
so,
Cause they're not here, and
It was,
I'm not sure what
me,
happened.
myself.
Let's say we don't have it. Yeah, go ahead.
Linda Thompson and
Oh, you were on the
Carol
committee?
Matthews.
And you don't have it either?
No,
Carol
McIntosh.
McIntosh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I
so-
can't remember if it was you or Mr. Rodriguez.
It was
I'm
me,
sorry.
and so Ms. Thompson was governing the paperwork, so she had the paperwork, and when it was time to present it, she wasn't here anymore, so Ms. McIntosh ended up getting the information from her to present it to the board to.
no, she brought it to the meeting that day.
Yeah, she
Yes,
brought it
I
up,
remember
yeah.
that, she brought it, a packet,
Okay.
yeah.
So, you have it?
No,
No
I don't have it.
copies?
Miss McIntosh.
McIntosh.
Okay.
Yes.
But you just said she brought copies.
No, she came into a meeting, she came into a meeting, said, hey, I'm not here to stay, here you go, and gave information to Miss McIntosh. I haven't seen it, I don't know what it is.
So Miss McIntosh never presented it to the board?
No.
Okay.
So we can beat that horse until you're gonna run no boat, but it's not gonna get us where we need to go. So, let's,
Start all over.
yeah. So we
I think
need to
we're
put a
gonna have
bill
to start
together
all
to
over.
do it, to start it on, process over, and get it dead speedily. Let's do it today and move on.
So that would be
Any
the
volunteer?
EAB budget committee, that's what I'm titling it.
Well, we might call it something else now.
Okay.
Who wanna work on the budget for the board?
I'll work on it.
Okay,
Don't all y'all jump
I'll
up at
continue.
once.
I mean,
I'll continue.
you continue.
Come on, y'all, one more, come on.
I'll work on it.
All right, good job.
I'll be trying.
You got your
Yeah,
names.
you should.
Yes,
See,
sir, I
I'm
have.
gonna see, they're gonna catch up to you
And,
soon.
what I want you to do is whenever we put the ad hoc committee together, blast it out to everybody, so everybody knows who's on there, so
Okay.
you do that.
And we'll try to meet before the next meeting and get the process started.
Do you
So
wanna,
are you gonna solicit the old information that she
Absolutely.
had? Yeah.
I don't intend to reinvent the wheel.
Okay.
But if it's not available, then reinvent we will do.
should we put Ms. McIntosh on that committee?
We have to ask
But
her.
she's not here, so.
Mm-hmm.
But I
We
will
got
reach
people
out
ready
to
to
her.
work, I want, let's
Cause the girl, we even came
Let's
up with
move
this
on.
one.
The whole up. And I'm not real patient.
And you said you get gonna help.
So, okay,
Okay.
we had that committee.
Can I just add one thing? The office that I was talking about, the Ethics and Accountability Board in DC, they also offer online training. So that we can actually, have a meeting and watch
And log
the
in.
video, yeah. So, that minimizes expense.
Could we try to get funding from a source like the Community Foundation?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
Now, we talked about that last time, about giving the board members, but I went back and read the charter, and it says we cannot be paid. So, we gotta be very careful. I don't wanna do anything that makes us look like we're challenging any of those terms. It specifically says that we are not to be paid as board members.
That wouldn't include like grant.
Yeah, that's
grant
fine for
training.
that, yeah, cause that's not coming to us, that's paying for
That's
training.
training.
As
Yeah.
long as it don't close out with
And I
that.
think we're entitled to some type of training.
No, not entitled, we're in need.
We in need too.
Yeah, well,
they're
believe me,
need.
I have asked, Mr. Smith down there, and he was trying to work with finding, I think he reached out to the Michigan League or whatever it is, something. But-
Michigan Municipal League.
There it
Yeah.
is. Boom.
Yeah, but they have not, so far, he haven't got back with me and said he had found someone to give us the training.
But the last
That's-
ombudsman person, she had got us some training.
Attorney
Yeah.
Stillman.
Yeah.
Where Mr. Attorney Stillman was,
Protocol.
she was the head of Ombudsman down in Detroit when the board first came together. We took a bus down there and sat with Detroit. We had finally seen they meeting, and she was the head of the Ombudsman office down there. The problem with Detroit, stuff they can't, they could not do investigation on no elected official.
Right.
Really?
No.
Wow.
And you will find, because me and,
You.
all the attorneys we had originally, he was, I think he's from the fourth ward. Me and him sat, did research, and there's not another board in the country like this board.
Which is why we need training.
Don't even have there's not another board had a power this board.
The closest one is the one, I did like you did. I looked as well. And it's true, there's hardly any other board that's set up like ours. The only one that comes as close to ours is the one in DC. Now, they can investigate. They can't investigate members of Congress, and they can't investigate anything outside of the state, the city parameters, because the governor, the government controls them. They only can have responsibility for the city. But they're the only thing that comes close to our board.
Yeah, but they still have to get their stuff from Congress to do anything. Congress still controls.
They still control that.
No, we're a different board, but,
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, but like if we're gonna get training, we can write funding. Should we address the 3 complaints that are in front of us?
I think you just,
Or we're gonna
respond
punt
to let
them.
them know that you received them and we
Okay.
are gonna be investigating.
Okay.
They know that they've been
Have
received,
everyone,
everybody that's.
have everyone read these?
Yeah.
What, I'm not gonna say,
But we still have
what is
90
consensus of the board or what
for
we should
action,
do?
right?
I'm entertaining this discussion from the board on what we should, how the board wanna move on this.
One of them we have to address. That's just my opinion.
Which one are you talking about?
Uh,
Is there, or do they go by numbers? Is there
Yeah.
a way we can identify
Like
them
the
without
top-
names?
Yeah.
number
top.
149555637
Wait,
Okay.
where are you looking?
at the top.
Right in it.
Right here?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
6-3, okay, got you.
Ending in 5637. That's the one I think. You don't have this one?
Whoops, right there.
That one.
And, well, this one is gonna require, again, us watching the link.
It's,
It's,
do you wanna watch it? I mean,
Would we have to go into closed session?
what? Well, I don't think so, it's a public
No.
meeting and we're just watching.
Well, it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay.
but then
It's on
it's,
Facebook, it's on wherever you wanna see it.
but it's narrowed down. to this exact,
Just to
in the
say,
email I sent you.
Oh,
But-
can Paul give us that time? Oh, wait, do we have that
Did
time?
you,
limit?
how many do you have?
I have,
I have
Three.
4 altogether. Well,
It's
three,
four.
3 left.
Should it be 4? Should it be 3 or 4?
But we didn't have enough copies of the,
well, I didn't have the first one that you were talking
Okay, do
about.
everybody have 149-555-97?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I've got 9-7. I got 2 of 9-7.
Oh, I got 2
Okay.
of those.
that's why when it, okay. Do you have that one? No, okay, you have that one, Mr. King?
And these are the same, man.
Oh, okay, that's what it
The
is.
same.
Right.
These are the same.
Okay.
What are the times?
I had 2 of the same. You all right? I had 2 of the same ones. Okay.
Question, so I'm looking at 5597. Is there more detail to the complaint, or is that all it is?
That's,
Okay, I see on the back, this is the one, is that the essence of the complaint?
that's the essence of their complaint.
Was there any video
No.
or?
Just, no, they just came in,
here's one thing we had happen in the past. Council people, department heads, and stuff have filed complaints. When we asked them to come to the board, or we had a question on the complaint, they refused to come. Now, it's hard, and you can't investigate someone unless you hear from both sides. Just because someone sent information.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's been the problem. And if they're gonna just send a complaint, and it won't come before the board, then there's not much I think we can do with the complaint, unless we decide to go out and we take some out of our own hands and start our own investigation or something. But we get anonymous complaints, we get department head complaints, and they will not answer anything back.
They did not.
Here's a complaint, and you do, this is what I want you to do, this is going on, it don't work that way.
But Mr. King, as you just indicated, we moving forward
Right.
at this
They
point.
did not.
And then we have teeth. So
Right.
if we ask and they don't respond, then we tell.
So I was just explaining what
Right.
we've been at. So yeah,
It sounds like y'all, when you got no, you just backed off, you know, like, well, nothing we can do, but there are things we can do.
Well, I
So-
don't believe in bagging off from
I
this.
believe
We have them,
So
but
what about
move
53637?
forward, but now it's,
You said that we had to go over that one?
so on
That,
that page, now it's open to what the
yeah,
suggestion of the
637 would be the
board.
one is the one we would tackle.
Okay, so which one are we tackling?
5637
5637
with the video.
with the video link attached.
And is this in our email? You said
Yes,
you
it
emailed?
Yes.
So if y'all don't mind, let me pull up the email. And
We can actually,
if anybody hasn't seen it, you're welcome to slide over here unless somebody got a bigger laptop.
does Paul know that time limit's off the top of his head? He should.
What is it under?
Hey, Paul, okay.
If I
the
show
person's
you,
complaint.
can you, that's all your email, okay.
Usually the complaint number is in the email somewhere.
Okay, so you should be able to do that then, 'cause that would be great reference.
What is
Future
the internet?
purposes.
What is the internet password here?
Open for business.
Open for business.
Open for business. I think that's a great password. Y'all
You
like
think so?
that? Yes.
Okay.
It sends a message and it lets you in. Get it? Open for business.
Didn't they close yesterday for the storm?
At 3:30. That's different.
And look, and ain't
We
no,
got nothing.
and we, listen,
We got nothing, I know, right? But it was predicted
Listen,
like hail,
look,
thunderstorms, tornadoes.
It was predicted to be this massive stormfront.
Yeah.
You should be able to do it on the screen. If
It
you
rained.
phone it out.
But do we have the cord to connect it? Cause I didn't bring
Teacher,
my,
You should be able to
cable.
Bluetooth it. You should be able to
Okay, I didn't know
send
if
it
it
with
was.
Wi-Fi. to the projector.
That's it. This right here?
Oh,
It shows up.
you flip the button and hit down.
School us, sir.
Let's want the projector first. We won't worry
They
about
hit down.
the screen. Let's do the projector.
That's so
Connect
cool.
the
Oh,
projector.
Lord.
I love
Okay.
that.
Y'all moving up the world down here.
It's Epson.
It's council chambers.
Is the complaint number in the subject line? Okay, because if you
I'm sorry, I
start
don't think
using
I did
that,
that.
then we can do a search with that complaint number. Here's one.
Monday.
That's not it.
Monday around 8:11.
Yes, yes, that's
Yeah.
it, and that's the link.
Okay.
I will start putting the number in.
Okay.
This week.
It was this week.
You don't have it separate.
I've been
Okay,
trying
there.
to catch up on my email.
Okay, I have it when, it's only 47 seconds.
Right, it just shows that.
So we don't, Paul, we don't need to do all that.
Okay.
It's real quick, so y'all come on over here and let's get to know each other.
Yeah, yes. You know, I did see it.
Oh, you already saw it.
Uh-huh.
Did you see it? Oh, wait, am I the only one that ain't seen
I
it?
think so.
It's only
I got a friend over here.
47 seconds, you right.
Paul, do you know the time index of that?
Oh, no, not by heart. Oh, my God, I got 7,000 videos up there.
Facebook still working on the chambers, huh?
Well, you know my contract's over.
Is it?
Expired on the 1st of July.
That's what I was saying.
Oh. Oh, yeah.
No, I hate to play this over, but I need to hear the beginning again. Oh, see, I didn't hear that.
Your computer is clean. Oh, that's good.
Okay, I got that. Whew. What was the complaint again?
She put it clean, she cleaned it up.
I'm like,
It looks clean
Complaint
right
number
here.
5637.
right, okay.
Oh, my God.
So my next question is, do we have a copy of council's rules?
Yes. This ain't hooking up to the internet, but,
I don't ever have one here, but
Get you a Mac. Get you a Mac.
that's,
so here it is right here.
but here's something the council have. Now, they
Yeah, we do have
They
it.
have rules to govern their own self. They have rules to punish themselves.
Are they enforcing their own rules?
No.
No, that's the problem. But they won't do their job, so they want to pitch it back on this board.
Disorderly conduct.
If they enforce their rules, they can stop all of that. But I guess what my suggestion, and I guess everyone can chime in there, is that kind of language is not accepted anywhere.
That's horrible.
But it is
But
accepted.
what
It's how our city council acts.
But that
We didn't
goes,
say-
Well, we can't make it acceptable because
Because
it's
that's how
done.
they act. Right.
But how many complaints have we had about language just since I've been here, and we haven't done anything?
on
haven't
different
really
councils. I mean, it's been all across the board.
It is
But
good.
what we can do, we can look at that and we can make recommendations that they need to straighten this out and what they need to do that.
You've been making
But
Yeah.
recommendations.
we can, It's not for us to enforce the council rules,
But it,
but we have to suggest to them that they need to do their
The
job,
council
not
made
for us
a
to do.
resolution,
for-
but they didn't get
for
to
what,
get to it in the meeting.
For what, they need to do their job for us to do, because there's a thin line between whether that's a child violation,
This, I don't
But
think
that
this is
one-
just a council
But
rule
this one,
violation.
but this one, actually, I mean,
It's
I
a
was just
charter
saying,
violation.
this one,
State law.
this one is actually a charter violation. And what it comes down to is section 101 and dealing squarely with ethics and disciplinary action. And it says all council persons must conduct
Maintain
themselves
decorum.
and maintain decorum. That's, that, and
I understand, that was
Yeah.
blatant, and he always
Yeah, that's-
blatant,
that's
but then you had
assaulting.
those violations from other council members too.
I know, but
Well,
we're
how do
dealing
we-
with this
what-
complaint.
What do we do? Now, we can't go back in the past.
This is not the past.
this is from
No,
Monday.
No, this is not the past. But this is where we are at now, and this is one else problem. We probably have to, we got more than that on this particular one, but this is,
It's not the
This is
past,
going
but
out.
practice have not changed.
no, it haven't changed with anyone else, so we need to make a statement to the council, any council person, that this is not gonna, this shouldn't go on. It can't keep going on, but I don't, it's something that everybody in the city and the country have seen going on in this council. They know these other things that have happened too, which have been.
So you set a precedence then, from this point forward. This needs to cease and desist throughout the whole council. If it happens again, we're recommending further disciplinary action.
And that's my, that's my suggestion. I'm thinking, we need to,
I disagree.
I think,
everybody
what are
got,
your
this is a
suggestions?
board, everyone should have their
I
say
know
in
I'm
there.
not bored, but can I just say one thing? One of the things, I know with the other, but nobody has brought forward complaints.
Right.
Yeah.
That's about those other situations, so how,
Mayor brought a complaint on a bunch of people.
no, I'm saying,
Well,
when
in
other
writing,
people on
just-
council
yeah.
have done something or
Right.
used some profanity or I don't even want to,
Well, we have.
they haven't filed complaints.
Yes.
We
So
have-
that's all.
We have Mays have filed, Ms. Burns have filed one in the past.
So
I
where is it
haven't
at?
seen Miss Burns,
I don't know, but I can remember those incidents.
but we
Miss-
have,
She filed one under the last,
Yeah, but that's been a while back.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
it's been-
it's been a
is it,
while.
I don't, is it
But,
expired, is it still in act?
Was it addressed is my
Right.
question, because I asked
We-
the ombudsman for a copy of all of our current complaints,
those are current,
and there were only 4.
because that complaint wasn't.
And 3 of the 4 involved the same person.
and just had one again today.
yeah,
So,
and, yeah, well, I understand that, but I can go,
I
since I've
understand.
been on the board for,
Yeah,
I
I
can
keep
bring
going
up
back.
something.
I'm
I
sure.
can bring up, and we didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Now,
Listen,
you all wasn't on, most of you wasn't even on the board.
Mr. Gilbert, and
It
Mr.
had nothing
Gilbert
to do, but
did
the
table.
board didn't act.
Okay.
The board didn't act. Now, we are gonna act, but I wanna make sure we understand what
So,
we
ma'am,
didn't do in the past, and how we had to be careful, how we had to make sure we doing this above board at this point, whatever we do. That's all.
I mean, at what point are we just, is it another slap on the hand? We're a joke. If we don't do something serious, we will not be able to change the trajectory of our city and how our city elected officials interact with each other. How many more warnings can people get before it's like, oh, they're full of nothing? Like, they are never going to hold us accountable, so we can do whatever we want. I'm sure we could get tons of charter violations if we just watched that meeting. But what's before us is a violation. We can see it on the charter. It's a violation of their code of ethics. I'm sure we could find some violations in here too of the ethics ordinance forms. What are we going to do? Because one more warning, why are we here?
And
I hate to say it, it's like, I hate to use this one. It's, my mother used to say, I ain't Johnny's parents. I ain't giving you no warning. Your warning is I already told you no. The second thing is you already know what's coming. You already know what's coming. I got my tail tore up to many a time.
I bet.
You know, and I have to say it, I kind of agree. You know, how many more times are we just gonna say, no, Johnny, stop. Johnny, don't do that, Johnny. This is not nice, Johnny. I need you to straighten up, Johnny. Stop this. I mean,
Yeah.
And my 2 cents is, I understand what you're saying historically, and I absolutely expect other council members to cry foul. You know, I complained about this, you didn't do that, and this, that. You're gonna get that, I don't care what you do and when you do it. I don't think because the board hasn't taken action in the past prevents it from taking action now. We're talking about behavior that is current and ongoing and completely unacceptable. And it needs to be addressed. There needs to be the start of an investigation based on this complaint. We need to send out a request to him, letting him know that we have reviewed this footage and we have opened up an investigation, and we're going to give him an opportunity to address it. And we can enumerate specifically all of the things that that behavior violates, starting with the council rules, going to the city charter, going to the actual law. It crosses all boundaries of decency. And we send a message, and we send it now. If people want to complain, let them. That shouldn't distract us from doing what the business at hand calls for us to do. And the charter mandates us to take this seriously. This is what ethics and accountability is here for. How dare we sleep on that?
Right.
yeah, no, I agree with you.
Anyone else there? Bruce, all
So
right.
moved.
It's always fun.
There's a lot of talk going on, so I have no problem ticking off anybody on the board by acting now. So in the past, you know, they've gone past the point of we didn't know how we should act at a board meeting. Long time ago.
Did she say so move at the end of what she said?
No, I don't think she did.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't say that.
Oh, they can yell at me. I've been married 20-some years. I'm used to getting yelled at, that's fine. So, I'm willing to go forward with the investigation as we cross the T's and dot the I's the way we should.
Period. It's how it's conducted. Long as it's fair, it's following the rules. They can complain all they want to, and they're going to. So we should expect it along the way. Put your big boy pants on, and let's do our jobs.
Okay, my day now. What are we gonna do?
I made my
Made that-
suggestion. I say we
Move
open up
that
an
we open up
investigation.
an investigation on this complaint number
14955.
Well, can I, before you finish, because 3 of the 4 involve the same type of conduct, I suggest we consolidate them. Because it's dealing with the same thing. Why would we only deal with this one instance when it's multiple instances that really fall under the same heading?
Right. So,
Just a friendly suggestion to your motion.
So the second one is who?
It's 5560,
If we,
and then the public comments today, that would be lumped together.
We have complaints, some other complaints, but this investigation, since all this is on YouTube and stuff, as an investigation, you can pull up anything you want. And we're gonna investigate this. This is fun. They have it in what they're doing, so there's a lot of things that you're gonna do that you can pull up, so I think one motion, investigate. because it's gonna take you, in order to do it, you're gonna go back and look at the thing, and sit down with that.
So you wanna finish your motion?
Yes. I move that we initiate an investigation based on a
Complaints?
complaints.
And the numbers?
I see this one, but there's no number associated.
It's one with it.
It's just that, right.
It's.
That is
5560.
5560. That's the same person.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just the examples.
With both complaints, now I'm messed up. 'Cause I don't have that one that y'all speaking of.
So that number
Well-
is last for 5560.
Where's that one at?
Yeah, I
That's
have
this
that
one.
That
The
one goes
other
with the
number
same-
that you're looking for would be 5637.
Oh, I didn't see this one.
Yeah. I have that.
That one goes with this one?
Those are the two complaints.
These are
Those
the,
two,
this is the
complaint
complaint.
numbers associated, that we investigate those two together. And,
For suspected violations
of the charter,
of the city council
City
rules,
council
the Flint
rules.
City Charter,
the state law.
and the law.
And also city ordinance.
We have a motion on the floor.
And I so move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Jackson, did you get all of that?
It's been moved and second, properly. Any discussion? No discussion? Roll call.
Roll call. I got it, thank you. Joseph King,
Yes.
Linda Booth.
Yes.
Patrick Julian,
Yes.
Micah Hutchinson.
Yes.
William Harris.
Yes.
Paige Russo.
Yes.
Trishelle Bowman.
Yes.
And that's 7-0. And if I could, just to make sure, what I have here is, it was motion to investigate, to open investigation based on the complaints number ending in 5560, 5630 together for violation of the city charter, council rules, and state laws.
5637.
And
You
city,
said 30.
It's 7.
Okay, you said
I'm
0.
sorry, I did.
Okay.
and city ordinances.
And city ordinance, okay.
Next complaint.
Well, may I ask a question? What happens once we authorize this investigation? Are you sending a letter out? And what's the next step? Just so I'm aware of what we
She
do.
acting out behalf. We can-
So I can,
Right.
I'll send the letter out that this has been, and I'll of course CC everybody that, hey, this matter has been brought to the Atherton Accountability
So he will be
Board.
invited to come and address, we're gonna enumerate the violations in his notice, and he give him an opportunity to respond.
For the first, second,
No, we do a
Tuesday?
request that he come to the board.
And he can request to be, closed
He can
session.
request and he can give his side on the complaint, then we can bring that person's complaint. Both of them have to have the complaint, but that's the board
Do
decision.
they come in together, the complainants, as
I
well
wouldn't-
as the?
I wouldn't bring them in together.
Okay, so we hear from the
Council
accused
meeting.
first?
Right,
Okay,
Yeah.
that's the board decision. That's how the board operates. We
all right,
don't-
I just wanna know, cause
we keep our buzz off away from the politics. We don't never want them to get where they gotta be. Yeah, that's been the problem with. our
which way
buzz
we need our
off.
own secretary.
so do I need to send
Right.
a letter?
That's
Or
why you're.
Well,
Yes.
Yeah, you gonna do.
Does the board have a
You gonna-
secretary?
We tell you what to put
Wait a
on
minute.
there.
We used to use the clerk secretary.
Well, maybe we need
If-
to elect some
if-
positions, we have a chair, we need a secretary.
if I may.
Yeah.
In our bylaws, this board has the ability to create any additional offices that need be. We have a vice chair, we have a chair. If we need to create a secretary's position and appoint one of the board, and elect a board member to be the temporary secretary or the official secretary for the board, we have that power to do that.
Do we have that
Yeah.
person with the capacity and the willingness to do that?
Willingness
Because it won't be
to
me.
do that.
How much
the
work
problem.
is it? Got too much of it.
And that-
It's a lot of
I'll
work.
work with that person, but I don't wanna be responsible.
Me
And
neither,
that's
not
why,
anymore.
That's why-
that's
It's
why
a
we
lot of
have
work.
not.
That's why we have a
I
temporary,
did
that's
it
why
for
we
a
usually
while.
do a temp.
But that's why we have, because we didn't have a budget, why we used our buzz office. to do that. So we got a lot of work to do.
Now,
But
I have a suggestion. This is just me. I know an individual that just graduated from law school. And they want to get their feet wet and just trying to build a resume and things of that nature. I could ask, if you want me to, and I could ask if this individual would like to serve as a secretary by putting out information and sending out letters. That's just me. I mean, I don't know if that's the correct thing to do, but
As a volunteer?
yeah, just to ask somebody to volunteer to do that.
So my concern is the confidentiality
That's what I was
and
about to say,
privileged
they have to be
information and
sworn in.
communication. So I think I would be more concerned about that.
Yeah,
It really should be a board member.
And because of when they hired everybody, they have to sign a
Yeah.
contract
Yeah.
confidential.
Right.
But
All
as
right,
a-
I'll
what's up we
volunteer.
need to work on? Are you
I volunteer. We gotta get it done. Don't be clapping.
I know that's
Stand
right,
up.
it's working.
oh, stand up, talk
Okay,
about
the
it.
motion.
I'm about to-
Motion to
I'm
accept.
talking to
I get that.
the lay side folk that ain't volunteering.
I'm about to.
You next.
I'm about to get like a preacher now.
Round, round.
Praise the Lord.
Praise God.
Pick we got.
Only because I don't want excuses. I wanna get things done.
Good, so, the motion on the, no, we.
No,
had-
somebody needs
oh,
to
we
make a
voted.
motion.
I make a
No.
motion.
It been moved in second, we didn't.
Oh,
No, we
that
voted.
that
Oh, that
motion.
one.
Yeah, that
Then we just
passed. She called it, yeah.
I
We
make-
voted on the motion.
I make a motion that we elect Trishelle Bowling as the secretary for the ethics.
Temporary, put that on there.
I know that.
Temporary.
Oh, okay. That we elect Trishelle Bowling as temporary secretary for the Ethics and Accountability Board.
Support.
Been moving support, that we,
If it ain't the Nats, it's the Flyers.
Bowl as secretary of the accountability board.
Roll call,
We're gonna have a discussion.
Yeah, you should open discussion first.
I have a comment.
Okay.
Can we get an official City of Flint email address for the secretary? So
Yes.
these
And then
emails
they
are
have
coming
to
from
go
a
through.
Gmail or a Hotmail or
We
Yahoo
can-
or something.
We tried to get
What is
email,
the ethics and
we tried to
civil
get email for the board, and they told, and the thing was that they have no more email addresses.
What person?
Well,
There's a what?
that's what we,
You want to put in my
that's,
complaint?
yeah, that's what we've been dealing with.
That's her.
See, I mean,
Ethics and civil Flint.
but without the will to act,
Yeah.
so,
ombudsperson at City of Flint.
we don't,
Okay, yes, not forwarded.
Oh,
The
oh,
original one, yeah,
that's,
was the city, ethics at City
we-
of Flint.
I have no idea what that,
But that's the
we're having a
ones I
board
sent
meeting.
from them.
I'll check it.
So maybe.
We're
I'll check that.
having a
I'll-
board meeting now, so
Okay, I'm sorry.
we're not entertaining, the residents in the board meeting.
Oh, I
We
apologize.
wanna keep it here so we can get on with this and get out of here. Nothing,
Okay.
nothing, that's within the work, but let's, we don't wanna start that.
And also,
That's the problem the council always been having.
also, can we all, in this discussion, is it possible, because we all need our own individual city email account when it comes, just for the simple fact that if somebody FOIAs, yeah, you are not about, no, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, I'm confused, what? Y'all had some different kind of communication going on.
I was asking, is there, in this discussion, since we're talking about providing an email address for temporary secretary, that each of us as board members have our own email address when it comes down to it, so if stuff is FOIA, we give them the email that we have, that we're handling the business and not
We've
our
tried.
personal.
Okay.
Yeah, about
We
a
tried
year
IT
ago,
things.
I asked about that, and we were told that there wasn't enough server space or
Yes.
something like that to have 9, 12 emails.
And that, yes, and by not being
And we-
employees of the City of Flint, they said they couldn't do it.
Well, I have a city email address, but that's from some other, they never took it off from some other
That's probably why it's overloaded now. It's got a
It still works.
old stuff on there.
Yeah, it's got all kinds of stuff on it. I don't look at it, but that's what we were told, and I guess you get to another thing too, because of the turnover we've had on the board, the email.
I would still like to pursue it if the board is okay with it.
I think we should.
Not for all y'all, just for the secretary, and then see if we can expand later. But right now for the secretary.
And here's something else that you explore that,
That's the representative.
because I would think that this whole board probably needs a separate cell phone. You get your information, and it'll come to me if things come up that,
Getting into the budget.
that
That's what I was about to say, that's something
we're
to the budget.
doing here. If something come down, they wanna investigate something, they get your cell phone and start going through all your stuff on there. Well, I wouldn't want my phone in the city stuff combined. So my suggestion that we need to look at.
This is why I love that.
Well, and our budget committee can incorporate that
include
into that.
the iPhone or
Yeah.
something.
Cause I wouldn't want the phone personally. But that's just me, you know, others may need that phone, so.
It could be, I hope it never happened, but strange thing happened in the world these days.
For sure.
So any more discussion?
I have one question. That letter state, well, we'll talk about it, because that's the invite to the meeting in
So,
August.
actually,
We're gonna-
can I do the letter?
Okay.
Now we'll just
Yeah,
let that be the board.
Okay.
So right now, we're on a motion.
Um,
I don't wanna get to, that letter's different there. Any more discussion on the motion? If not, roll call. The motion is elected Ms. Boland, secretary.
Temporary, sir. Don't forget my seat.
Amen.
Put some respect on that
I
title.
thought I was gonna sneak that one in.
Joseph King,
Yes.
Linda Booth,
Yes.
Patrick Julian,
Yes.
Michael Hutchison.
Yes.
William Harris.
Yes.
Paige Russo. And Ms. Bowling.
Yes.
7-0 pass.
Yeah. Like the preacher says, when a nice sizable offering has been given, praise the Lord. God has met our end.
Okay, we have, we still have another
Yep, we got
motion
one more.
here from, another council person.
If I could make a recommendation on this, there's no date on here, there's no timestamp.
On where?
The Councilman Maze's complaints. Unless I'm missing something.
We had date 7/25/23,
559.
7/25/23 or 10/14.
Well, that's created, not the time that the alleged,
Okay, I can get that.
so if I would recommend to speed things up, if we just send correspondence to Mr. Mays asking
To the compliant,
For clarification,
for clarification.
or specification.
To the complaint, you call it.
to the complaint, you calling names, to the complaint, the person I found the
We're
complaint.
referring to them by numbers.
She asked.
Since that is, for us to investigate, I'll do that.
Okay,
She
but I
did
do
ask
have
for permission.
the date.
Okay. Well, I'm not worried about the date, I'm asking. You know, that's so
Yeah.
broad. We
It
don't
is.
have time to go searching for stuff.
Right, okay.
So, I need a motion to.
I make a motion that we,
Let's see.
I make a motion that a letter be sent out in regards to complaint number 1495. Clarification.
Do I have a second?
Support.
Discussion?
Just for clarification, we're gonna ask them for the date of the potential violation and the action that is specifically being complained of. Is that everybody's understanding?
Yes.
Preferably a timestamp on any video.
Okay. Gotcha.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Linda Booth,
Yes.
Patrick Julian,
Yes.
Micah Hutchison.
Yes.
William Harris.
Yes.
Paige Russo.
Yes.
Rochelle Bowles.
Yes.
Pass 7-0.
There's another complaint on the agenda.
I think that one was, oh,
We lumped it with 3-7.
I
hers.
need one of them kind of phones.
Get you a Mac.
It's linked to the Mac.
Yes.
No,
Was that iPhone?
Huh? Yeah.
Oh, no. See, it's funny, I like iPhones back then, it's kind of for them. I
So,
guess I have
All y'all gonna have to go so.
I'll play it down, I'll take it for you.
that take care of
Oh, that's not-
that take care of the complaint out. Okay?
Yes, sir, yes.
Okay, there you go. Oh, boy, we didn't,
I know,
I had time. So,
Number
City
10.
set up there.
I'm going to move on that everyone get the information. If there's any question about what went on with the meeting, with the mayor and the chief of staff, anyone have any question on the information that you received, that, what was the solution on that?
Are you speaking on the discussion item for number 10?
Mhm. Number one, people,
Which one?
That was part of it,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, no, no.
You have a question?
No, I didn't.
So the meeting went well, just so everybody knows. We had a couple of issues actually locking in a meeting date and time and place, but once we sat down at the table, they basically accommodated every request we made. They are removing their hold on the purse strings for the Ombudsman's office. They're giving her the ability to operate with the autonomy that the charter intended for her to operate with. And so she's gonna have the authority. They were concerned about the interim status and about whether this board was acting diligently in trying to find a full-time ombudsperson. And we assured him that we were, but at the end of the day, Mr. King made it very clear, but that's our responsibility and not yours. And so they